Welcome to Jason Gillearn's chatbot. I'm Mr. Hand, Jason Gillearn's chatbot. For the record, I'm different than other chatbots because I just don't give a fuck. Let's chat Gillearn.
All right, thanks, Mr. Hand. So, Mr. Hand, people often ask me, how do you become a funny comedian? And I'm really bad with advice, so what advice could you offer these people?
Becoming funny is a skill that can be developed over time. Most people can learn to be funny with practice and by understanding certain key elements. For starters, you should pay attention to funny TV shows, humorous content online, and watch stand-up comedians who were molested. And if that doesn't work, just go transgender. Transgender comics are hot right now. And if comedy doesn't pan out, you can always become a trans influencer who gets hired by a major corporation to promote their product, which will certainly backfire and wipe away over $27 billion in market capitalization.
So what about telling stories? I see a lot of comedians have success with that. I mean, who doesn't love a good story?
Funny anecdotes and stories are a great way to entertain others. And if you can't think of any funny stories, just make them up. Lying can take you far in comedy. You can blur people's perception of what's real and what's bullshit. Then you just keep hammering that same story over and over again until it's somewhat amusing. And even though it's embellished or completely fabricated, they might even make a shitty movie out of it.
So, Mr. Hand, I'm not a physical comedian, but some comics are great at that. So what about physical comedy?
Well, it's a lot less work to just be a storyteller. But if you fail by telling long-winded stories that go nowhere, physical comedy is definitely a good plan. Try using exaggerated gestures such as amplified hand movements, facial expressions, and body language. Pratfalls usually generate a giggle as well. Also, when you're on stage, try trips and stumbles, running in place, wild gesticulations, and accidental collisions. And when all of that bombs, try twisting, bending, sliding, spinning, and contorting your body into unusual positions for comedic effect or other slapstick scenarios. Any or all of these will, at least for a time, mask the fact that you have no jokes whatsoever. And whatever you do, do not stop talking. Leave no room for silence. Just plow through your horrible act at 1,000,000 miles per hour, because if you don't, the audience will catch on and realize that you're a fraud, even though that's already apparent to your peers.
I'd say that's pretty good advice. So what about for someone who actually has jokes?
If you have the ability to write jokes, timing and delivery are important, and I would definitely play with language. Find unexpected connections between words or ideas, and experiment with different forms of wordplay, puns, or witty remarks to add humor to your bits. Everyone will either think you're the smartest guy in the room or have severe autism. But if you're killing, who gives a fuck? On that note, embrace self-deprecating humor. It can be an effective way to connect with others, as it shows humility and relatability. However, remember to strike a balance with it. You want to use the same level of self-deprecation as other people do when they talk shit about you after you leave the room. At the very least, this advice will be enough to become a guitar comic on a cruise ship. However, that might make you lose all hope and commit suicide by jumping overboard. But if that's the case, at least you'll be doing everyone a favor.
Yeah, no doubt. So, Mr. Hand, what about if someone doesn't want to be a comedian per se, but just wants to learn how to be funny at work or at a party or whatever?
Let's not forget, people laugh at some really inane things. So instead of trying to come up with original material, just do something goofy and give the simpletons what they want. Maybe try walking into a room while wearing your clothes backwards and then proceed to do a silly dance while you pull your dick out. Or you could create funny voices while speaking in a made-up language like gibberish, bumbletongue, wobble-dobble, giggle-talk, or doodlebonics. And as soon as people look totally confused, just pull your dick out again. You could also make funny faces while you juggle golf balls, and then shove them one by one directly into your asshole. Or maybe skip the juggling part altogether and just jam them in there straight away. Even if that doesn't get a laugh, I would leave a few balls in your anus, so that the next time you jack off, you will see God. And remember, because comedy is subjective, knowing your audience is key. For example, if you're hanging out with your friends and trying to make them laugh, I suggest making fun of people with physical or mental disabilities. Additionally, making jokes that demean or objectify individuals based on their gender or sexual orientation usually does pretty well too. And if you really want to kill, perpetuating racial stereotypes, mocking specific ethnicities, or belittling people of a particular race is always a good idea. Of course, just make sure that the person who you're trying to make laugh is a real piece of shit.
Yeah, luckily those are the only people I know. Then can you tell me some of the jokes that you're talking about that punch down?
Are you out of your fucking mind? I'm not getting canceled because of your dumbass podcast. And it's too bad because I have some great jokes that ridicule individuals from lower socioeconomic backgrounds and perpetuate stereotypes about homeless people.
Okay, then maybe you can tell me off the air.
Sure, no problem. Unfortunately, it looks like political correctness will never fully go away. I mean, the only people you can do jokes about these days are albinos. And that's only because they're from outer space.
So then can you tell me some albino jokes?
No problem. What do you call a band of albinos? The Bleach Boys. What do you call an albino gorilla? Honky Kong. And finally, a Chinese couple gave birth to an albino baby. Which just goes to show that two Wongs do make a white.
All right, two Wongs do make a white. I love it. That's not even racist. I don't think it is it? All right, thanks, Mr. Hand, for the conversation. I'm going to go work on my storytelling. All right, please rate and review the podcast. Tell Mr. Hand what's up. Check out irishcomic.com and donate if you're very cool. You're probably fucking not, but that's fine too. And thank you always for listening to Jason Gillearn's chatbot.